Hey, Martyr.
Oh my God, hi.
Listeners want to know what's going on with your love life.
Oh my God, don't get me started. These apps have me going crazy. I'm on there for hours, but I can't seem to find a date.
Have you heard of Motto? Motto is the new no nonsense hookup app for gay and queer people.
Hookup apps have become a staple in queer culture, but they also come with the bullshit. Headless torsos, blank profiles, catfish after catfish, and I feel like I'm always scrolling the grid.
Well, on Motto, every profile is verified by a real human, and every photo has a face.
Ooh,
Motto sends you daily matches of people who match your interests and kinks. There are no fees, no ads, and no nonsense.
I love that. Sounds like my kind of app.
Get Motto today by going to the link in this episode's description or use invite code ZVOGS when signing up. That's ZVOGS when signing up.
Ooh, I think I will. Motto, gay and queer hookups without the nonsense.
Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I know, wig. I feel that already. Wig, okay. Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I am ready for my wig to go flying.
There we go. Ooh. Hi, kids. It,
Hello,
it's Martyr,
it's C Tepper.
and this is Wigging
Wigging
Out.
out. The
We
beginning of
may.
Pride edition.
Yes, I believe so. I think we're actually
Yeah, it's
on
Pride.
schedule this time. Happy Pride, kids.
Happy Pride.
It's gonna be great this year. I can just feel it in my bones. We
I
have
can
a
intro.
yeah, you can intro.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
because
we've had some legends on the show, but I think right now this is like the ultimate legend that we've had on.
yeah.
I'm like so excited that
Me
she's
too.
here. It's Sherry Vine. Yay!
Yay! Hi. People
Yay!
they were gonna see this and be like, "Where's Sherry? Who's that old man? Where's Sherry Vine?"
What season of Drag Race?
Oh my God.
Season 0 and 1,000.
Yeah, zero season -10.
Season -10. Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
So we're gonna go over Sherry's life in this little episode, and I'm gonna just start off. So you grew up in Baltimore and you chose to move to LA when you were younger to pursue your dreams of movie stardom. What was it like growing up in Baltimore and then deciding to head out?
I thought you were gonna say you moved to LA to pursue your dreams of movie stardom. What happened? No,
I mean, we'll find out pretty quickly, I think.
so growing up in Baltimore's not fun. I mean, I think I probably would have been miserable anywhere because I was just
Mhm.
really bullied and tortured. So I don't think that was exclusively because I was in the suburbs of Maryland, but that was yeah. I couldn't wait to get out. I literally was like, I got to get out of here. I did go to college, undergrad at the University of Maryland in Baltimore, and it was a very different experience than high school and everything before that. I mean, it's kind of crazy to be like, you finish senior year of high school still being tortured, and then 3 months later, 3 months after, like, 17 years of that, 3 months later, all of a sudden the people want to celebrate you for the same things that people were picking on you for. And it was just kind of like, wow, like, what if in the span of 3 months, what changed? um so yes, that was Maryland. But after I did undergrad school in 3 years, I was like, I gotta get out of here, and left, went to grad school, and moved to LA.
So when you were in LA, I'm guessing at your college, you had Anna Devere Smith as your acting teacher, and she advised you to create your own roles. That's crazy to me, like having her as an acting teacher.
It really is. I I immediately connected with her very strongly. I mean, I can't say we were friends because wasn't like that person. Like, oh, I'm going to hang out with my students and all, like some of the other college professors. She was very, it was business. But we really connected. And she asked me to be like her assistant director for a play that she was doing. And I'd go to her house and we would work. We weren't like hanging out, but we would work. So we were very friendly. But she was amazing and awesome. And of course, she's a brilliant performer. But yes, two things that she said to me that I really listened to. The first, immediately, she was just kind of like, you're going to have a very hard time in Hollywood. You don't fit any type. So if you want to be a movie star, just know that you're going to it's going to be hard. You're not the leading man. You're not a nerd. You're not weird enough. Like you don't fit into a type. She said, I advise you to create your own work. So I said, okay. And then the second thing she said, the first time I did drag, which was for a project that she was directing, and she was like, you need to explore this. And I was like, okay. And at the time, my best friend from Maryland was going to grad school in Chicago, moving to New York. And I had told him all this. He's like, I'm going to write a play and you're going to play the leading lady and we're going to do it in New York and start a theater company. I was like, oh, okay. So it's like all these things that Devere Smith, all these seeds that she was planting, all of a sudden were going to come to life. And that's literally what happened. I mean, I had my heart set on coming to LA to be a movie star. And now all of a sudden I'm moving to New York to be a drag queen.
Yeah. We're definitely gonna dive a little bit more into that too. I ask this question for every guest, but I know the answer and I think it's hilarious. How did you get your drag name?
Well, it's funny because anyone who's never been to Hollywood kind of has this image of the glamour of 1940s Hollywood Boulevard. And if you've been there, you know that it couldn't be further from the truth. It's kind of busted. But there's something about it that I still love. Anyway, I was performing as just Sherry. It was just Sherry. And then a friend of mine that I worked with at the French Market restaurant, John, he was like, you need to drive up Vine Street off of Hollywood Boulevard because there's this building called the Sherry. And so I did, and I saw it. I was like, oh my God, it's like a broken down crack whorehouse. Perfect. That was my name, Sherry Vine. That's a true story. The Vine comes from Vine Street.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Sherry on Vine.
The Sherry on Vine. Oh,
yeah.
So you moved to New York with Candace Kane. What was that like?
You've done your homework.
Oh yeah.
Candace and I both worked at the French Market, which, if you don't know, it was the restaurant's no longer there on Santa Monica Boulevard. That was very gay, and historically very gay. Everyone, I mean, it was just so gay, and it was the most. I had been working at the Cheesecake Factory, which was my first job after school. And it was the opposite of that. It was very, bureaucracy. And I got fired. And I went to the French Market. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, you're allowed to have fun here? And we just laughed. And it was gorgeous and fun. I mean, there's another side to that, which was like every week someone was dying, which was not so fun. But to work there and get to be openly gay and just like run around. And I met Candace there. And we were roommates. We moved in together as roommates in LA. And then we moved to New York together. And I think she stayed on my couch for a little while. And then, I just saw her a week ago. We're still, after 30 years, really close.
Oh, I love that. I love hearing that.
Yeah. Love kids.
Family.
Family.
Oh, yeah. So you co-founded Theater Couture in the East Village.
Mm-hmm.
Explain what the Theater Couture is for all us young folks.
Well, we were very aware that we were not creating anything new, but we wanted to follow in the footsteps of Charles Ludlam and Charles Busch, where I was going to be the leading lady. The man was going to play the leading lady, but it was, and we might have like a little wink about that, but it was really just kind of like, oh no, she's this woman, kind of like Divine in Hairspray, like, no, she's not commenting on the fact that she's a drag queen. She's just her mother.
Mhm.
So anyway, that was kind of our goal, but we wanted to make it a little edgier and pop culture-y, to make it different than what people had before us done. So that's what we did. Like we took things from the headlines, like we did a show called Telltale, which was a mashup of Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart meets Dorian Corey passing away, and they found a mummy in her closet. So, stuff like that. And it was a really amazing, gorgeous decade, a little bit more, and very successful in one way. No one ever made a penny because you're doing theater in New York City. But the shows were big hits and really just fun. I really think we did something special.
I just wanted to mention because I think you did like a parody of Carrie, and then Stephen King approved of it.
Yeah, I mean, I love that story so much because it's one of those things where you just think this will never, ever, ever happen. We wanted, when Jackie Beat was still living in New York, we wanted to do the musical version of Carrie, the musical that was kind of historically not successful on Broadway. And at first they were like, no. And then we're like, okay, we can talk about it. And we met with them and they loved the idea and they were actually going to let us workshop it. And then Jackie and I were like, okay, well, we're going to have to lower the songs because it's Betty Buckley. Hello. And they were like, if you can't sing it the way it's written, then you can't sing it. So that was kind of the end of that. So then Eric Jackson, who was our company writer, and Josh Rosenzweig's the director, they said, well, let's write Stephen King and see, because it doesn't look like anyone has the rights to the stage version, non-musical. So they wrote to his literary agent or whatever and got just this no. So we're like, okay, that's dead in the water. And a couple months later, he gets an email from Stephen King's lawyer saying, Stephen's interested. Tell us more. So he kind of explained that, Carrie is going to be played by a man, and this is what we've done. And we're working with Basil Twist, the genius puppeteer, who's going to do the special effects, but it's not going to be slick. It's going to be, you can see the strings, And he loved the idea. He loved the idea of a man playing Carrie. And so we wrote it, and they approved it. And yeah, we had Stephen King's approval and blessing. He couldn't come and see it because I think he was still recovering from his car accident, but everyone in his world did come and they all loved it and were very supportive, like our champions.
I love that.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Literally, it was just like, what? It was really cool. And it also kind of just makes me love Stephen King even more, that he's just like, we were the first ones to get the rights to do the stage production of Carrie, a little drag theater in the East Village.
Iconic.
Honestly, really.
Yeah.
Oh, we should bring it back. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, right?
I
A
know.
revival.
I don't know if they'll still buy me playing 16, but
I think that would make it even more iconic.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah.
I don't.
Also, I feel like you don't age, by the way. So.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. But I do. But if they bought it then I guess they would still buy it now. Theater is all about suspension of reality.
That's
so.
right.
Exactly.
So I want to talk a little bit about performing weekly with Joey Arias and Raven O at Bardo. Y'all were very famous for that in New York at the time.
I don't
like?
think that could ever happen. I know it could never happen again. It was
Mhm.
just the right thing at the right time. I mean, first of all, New York City nightlife in that period of the 90s was, and now I sound like that old, back in my day, but it's true. Like there was just nothing like it. I mean, you had Jackie 60s, Squeeze Box, Boy Bar, Bardo, and every single night of the week, there was several amazing things to do. So Bardo was Raven O, who's my drag mother, and Joey Arias, who is, the legend. And Joey, they had just started doing it, and Joey saw me perform. One of the first things I did, I was performing for Bastille Day at Restaurant Florent, which used to be in the meatpacking district when it was still the meatpacking district. And I was doing Edith Piaf, and she's like, "You need to come and perform with us." And they kind of took me under their wings, and I just was able to blossom there because it was, I think, might be mistaken, I think it was the only place that had like all live singing drag show, like no lip sync. And there's nothing wrong with that. It was just that's what we did. Joey is very, jazz. Billie Holiday and Raven is like jazz also, but like a little more gritty and like in your face and hilarious. And I was like the little baby singing parodies about poop and penis. And we did it 3 nights a week. There was a line around the block to get in, and every star you could possibly name came through there. And when you get to the storytelling part, I've got scandalous stories. And the reason why it could never happen again is just because you would never have, even at Squeezebox, you'd have like Courtney Love, Debbie Harry, Marilyn Manson, Green Day, people just jumping on stage, Drew Barrymore dancing topless on the bar. Like that could never happen now because it would be filmed and around the world in 2 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen that a lot like lately with like a lot of celebrities would go to Pieces Bar and like it's everywhere. Like
Yeah.
they're just sitting down watching a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's cool that they still go out, but I don't think that you'd have these, I remember doing shots with Meg Ryan and dancing on the sofa like it was the end of the world. I'm like, that would never happen now.
No.
It's like crazy.
Take me back. I want to
Yeah,
go.
I know. We need a time machine.
I know.
We need to have a party where you got to check your phone.
Yes.
Oh,
you know,
down.
someone's still sneaking in though.
Yeah, of course.
They'd find a way.
Listen, if that Beyonce concert in Dubai got leaked.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. True.
Yeah. So the last question for this section is: you went viral online with Peppermint for the "Make Me Moan" telephone Lady Gaga parody. What was that like going viral?
Well, it's funny because I had just started doing videos maybe a year or two, maybe 2 years before that. Jackie, I have to give props. Jackie was the first drag queen that I knew of doing videos on YouTube. And I was like, oh, that would be fun because then I get to kind of marry me wanting to do film and TV and my own content. I just wanted to do started doing some videos, and I did Madonna and Britney. But then comes along Gaga. And if you're a parody artist, no one is giving you a bigger gift than Lady Gaga. The costumes and the looks and everything. It's just like a well of material. And back then, if you remember, Bad Romance, Telephone, when she was going to release the video, it was an event. Like the news would say 3 more days to Bad Romance premiere. Like it was a big, big deal. It was a big event. And I was prepared, honey. I had the song written. I was just sitting there waiting with a piece of paper to write down everything in her video so that we could shoot it the next day and be the first one to have something up. So Bad Romance was first, and that was the first one to go viral. And yeah, it completely changed my life because even after 20 years almost of performing, in just a matter of days, more people around the world know who you are than in 20 years. And this was right before Drag Race started also. And so I was like booked every night in a different city. It was just like really fun and crazy. And then with Peppermint, I was like, let's do this together. And we that whole video, if you watch it, it's shot in like 5 locations with so many different looks, 8 dancers, props just galore. And we had a budget of like $500. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And funny side note, we are performing that together in Keene, New Hampshire for their Pride in September.
What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
they're doing last year they did Madonna, and it was their very first Pride, and it was such a hit that they invited me back, and they're doing Gaga. And I was like, oh, I wish you guys could get Peppermint, but I know she's super busy these days. And I said, they're going to call you, girl. And they called her, and she said, yes, so we're doing it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is so exciting.
Caitlin, we may have to do a field trip.
I'm like, we're gonna go.
Come to
It's like 8 hours, but I'll get there.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll take the train. It's fine. It's
That'd
fine.
be incredible. Oh my God.
On that note, I think we should take our first little break, and we're gonna get talking about the Sherry Vine variety show in our next little segment. Yay! We'll be right back, kids. Bye.
Wig, okay. I know, wig. I feel that already. Wig, okay. Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I am ready for my wig to go flying.
And we're back.
We're back.
Oh gosh.
So the Sherry Vine variety show premieres June 8th at OutTV, I guess online streaming apps, TV, all of it.
Yeah, people are always like, where can I watch it? Where can I watch it? And the easiest is just to go to sherryvine.com, because I will have links for wherever you are to watch it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I know it's like, I know without TV because I used to work with Hey Queen. So like I know it's like different like websites depending on countries.
Yeah.
So you will figure it out.
Yes.
So did you have any pop culture influences for this variety show? It definitely gives me some Carol Burnett and like Sonny and Cher vibes.
Well, yes, and thank you, because I mean, my biggest inspiration, of course, that I talk about all the time is Carol Burnett. I mean, the biggest influence and inspiration. And I kind of have a mantra of always asking, what would Carol do? Like, I'll be writing something, I'm like, oh, I don't know why this doesn't work. And then I'd be like, oh, because you're not thinking, what would Carol do? And then it works. So yes, I certainly get so much inspiration from Carol Burnett and all the 70s variety shows, and then Cher, like anything. Bianca Del Rio actually sent me Bob Mackie book, this huge table book of his costumes for the past 6 decades. And I just would like mark things like, okay, I'm going to take this, but make it my own. You know what I mean? So just heavily influenced by Mr. Bob Mackie.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
It's gorgeous. What's something that you got to do this season in the show that you didn't get to do last season?
Well, this time, season 1 we filmed during the major lockdown pandemic. I don't know how we did it or how we were even allowed and able to do it, but we did. But there were so many restrictions. So we pretty much shot on one location at PEG Studios, and we didn't have a big pool of performers because it was just so much work to get someone tested every single day and approved. So Mario Diaz was my roommate at the time, and Jackie, we're on a bubble together. So it's like, okay, Mario, you're playing all the male parts. So for season 2, I knew that I wanted to kind of open that box. Like, let's have more locations. Let's have more performers, get as many as possible. I wanted it to move faster. So we specifically, Jackie and I would sit down to write, and I'd be like, it can only be 3 minutes. Well, no, 3 minutes. Let's write 2 sketches for 6 minutes instead of 1 6-minute sketch. So we really did that. And I do think that when I watch it now, I'm like, okay, this is the pace that I like. Not saying anything bad about season 1. It's just like, I wanted it to go faster. And also in season 1, I only did 1 commercial parody of Life Alert. And people loved it. And it was like, so this time we have a commercial parody in every episode.
Oh, smart.
I was gonna say, we watched the first 2 episodes, and the flow of each episode was really good. It was like really punchy, and I was like, on to the next thing. I was really enjoying it. I was very
good. Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah,
because
of course.
Season 1 I would watch, and a couple of the sketches, which is all on me. I was like, okay, I'm ready to move on. So I'm glad that you feel that way. I wanted that of like, oh, it's over. What's next?
What
kept me guessing.
go.
Oh, I was just saying, it kept me guessing. Yeah, I like the flow of it. Worked for me. Go ahead, Caitlin.
So we talked a little bit earlier about like you're known for writing parodies. What is your process like for doing parodies and original songs and then recording them?
Well, my usual process, which I definitely have a process for parodies, is I like to break it down and count how many syllables are in each line, and then try to match that because I want it to be the same as the song. You know what I mean? And Jackie's always making fun of me because she's like, "Can't you just do that in your head?" I'm like, "No, I count. I have to count." So that's how I kind of do a parody. Sometimes I'll start with the chorus, and I have an idea usually that's about the chorus, the title of the song, and then go from there. And with original songs, I really just like to spend time. I'll put the music on a headset and just listen to it over and over until like a line pops out. It's like, oh, that's what this song is about. And then once I get that, then the rest comes pretty easily. But the first song that's in episode 1, so you saw it, called Grab 'Em, which is kind of a rock song. My friend Barb Morrison was in LA and they said, I can come by the studio for 2 hours to help out. I was like, great, because I've wanted to work with them forever. So we're all in the studio and they were like, well, just make up some words. I'm like, no, I can't do that. No. I need you guys make the music and then I'll take it home and spend time with it. And they were like, just make something up just for fun. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm like, okay. And that is what I came up with, like on the spot in like 20 minutes. We recorded it and it was done. And I really appreciate that they pushed me out of my box.
It sounded great.
Oh, good.
Definitely jamming.
And every song is 5 original songs.
Okay.
And for season 1, we didn't have the money or the time. So I purchased music that was already made on Pond 5 and then wrote lyrics to that. And this time we were like, let's do original. Markaholic did all the tracks. Each song is so different because I wanted to celebrate a different genre of music. So like Grab 'Em's our rock one. We have a disco song that Jackie wrote the lyrics to called Sex in Heaven. I'm obsessed with Legendary on HBO. So I was like, we got to have a house. I want to vogue the house down, Henny, and have like a deep house. So he did this track that is just like 1993 New York City house. I love it. It's in the last episode. And then I have one silly song called Schlong, where I was like, I need to write one song about dick.
I was going to say, what's it about? Oh, Lord. So you mentioned her a little earlier, but please tell us all about Jackie B and your friendship with her.
We're not friends. I just use her. No. Jackie and I have been friends. We met in 1991. Aww. And I think I met Candace in 1990 and Jackie in 91. And we just clicked immediately. I mean, and certainly in LA, there really weren't drag queens doing what we wanted to do. I'm trying to think how to like articulate it correctly, but if you went to West Hollywood, certainly it was like lip syncing in a gown and kind of like glamour drag. And we didn't want to do that. I love that. But we were like, we wanted to write our own lyrics and surround the songs with like a scene. And so it was a little bit more theatrical than just a song. We did not get to perform in West Hollywood back then. They were not interested in us at all. So we performed really at theaters and performance art spaces in the beginning. And this friendship has just endured. I mean, there's no one faster and funnier and smarter than Jackie. And I think we work well together because I'll write a sketch and she is really good at coming in and punching it up with jokes. I'm not a joke writer, but I think I'm better maybe at sticking to a structure. So we work really well together in that way. And then on stage, of course, it's just, I know I can look at her and know exactly where she's going, where her endpoint is, and I could see her at the beginning, and I'm like, okay, I know where she's going, and we just go.
On the show, you have another friend of yours, Bianca Del Rio. What's it like having her on the show and like working with her over the years?
Well, I've known Bianca since she moved, the first day she came to New York.
Oh, wow.
Katrina, and we've been friends for so long. And she hates it when you kind of give her praise, but I have to. I mean, not only has she really been a good friend, but she's like, I've done 5 tours of hers opening for her around the world, and that has just enlarged people who know me. I mean, it's just really kind of expanded that. And because of people like Bianca and Alaska and Willem, these other queens that want to work with the older queens, that keeps us also kind of relevant. So for season 1, Bianca is in every episode. We shot all of her stuff in one day and then cut it up, and it's the recurring sketch in all the episodes. And this time I didn't want to do that. We did Lady Cops as the recurring. So I thought, I want her to be the first guest. The episode's about her. She had just finished a year tour of Unsanitized, was flying from South Africa to LA, had like 2 days off before she was going in to have foot surgery. And still, I was like, girl, don't worry about it. You don't have to do this. She's like, fuck you, bitch. I'll be there. And it was on her, like one of her 2 days off in drag. And yeah, she's a good friend.
Aw. I loved your interview together. You can definitely see like how close you are.
Yeah, she's special. And they all, I mean, like, they're also these queens that have been on Drag Race are just out of control, busy, like Monet. And it was the exact same thing. I was like, well, I don't know if you're going to be in. She's like, Sherry, I'm not saying no to you, whatever you want. And, we were obviously also really good friends from industry and therapy before she was on Drag Race, and just made it work. And she's like, okay, I'll be there. And it's only this amount of money. Girl, I don't want your money. So it was just, they did it out of love, and all of the queens. And like Varla is the only other person who is on season 1 and is also on season 2, a special guest. And it was really, really, I'm very lucky to have these friends.
Yeah. They definitely add like something special to each episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we are like sincerely all good friends. And so it just makes the process so easy and fun.
So I want to talk about a couple of the sketches that are on. On the first episode, there's a sketch about like sanitized drag queens, which I feel is like definitely like an antithesis of your drag career. How do you think the drag landscape has changed since you first started drag?
Well, in a lot of ways, and I think all under the umbrella of it's all good, because it's definitely, it has legitimized drag. Like when I started performing in drag, it was not a legitimate art form. It was very fringe. And if you go to a drag show in New York City, it was mostly gay men. And now it's completely changed. And I love that. I love that. I mean, I do a brunch show in Palm Springs, and it's 98% straight women. And I'm like, they're having the time of their life. Why wouldn't I love this? It's great. So it's legitimized drag as an art form, and then it's given it more opportunity, because now every TV show wants a drag queen, movies, like, there is a commodity to it, and it has been monetized. And I remember like having a meeting at a record company in the mid-90s in New York, and they're like, well, we really like you and it's fun and da-da-da, but there's already a drag queen who's famed, RuPaul. Like, there's room for one.
Mm.
So that's changed, and that's great. That's great for all of us. I haven't been on Drag Race, but I think that Drag Race has kind of opened the doors for a lot of us to benefit.
Do you think you've had to kind of censor your humor at all for audiences?
Fuck no.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how I feel. And Jackie and I say this all the time, where on one hand, there has been a homogenization of drag, and it is then my job to keep it perverse. I'm not interested in reading books to kids, and I think it's beautiful if there are queens that want to do that, and the parents of the kids should have make the decision if that's okay or not the government. So obviously I support that, but I'm not interested in doing that.
Yeah, I think there's definitely room for all of it.
Oh my God, please. Everybody wrote parodies about poop, then it wouldn't be special.
That's true.
I was like, let her go and read to kids and let them do this or whatever. This is what I do.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So no, I actually, if anything, in the current climate, I'm turning the volume up and making things filthy.
Oh,
good.
Someone has to do it. Thank God.
So there's another sketch I want to talk about before we close out this section. The Beauty Mark Cafe sketch. I think it has some of the funniest, like, witty reads on, like, that also, like, kind of reads that are a little bit too in the know about it's mainly all the Drag Race girls. What was that process like, and what do you think makes for a good read?
Well, it's funny because Jackie and I was like, okay, we'll have one out of everything on this show this season. I don't want it to be all about Drag Race or talking about Drag Race or making fun of Drag Race. So it was like one. And we're like, this is the perfect way. And we do mention like a lot of other queens that aren't, but yes, it's heavy Drag Race. And we just kind of sat down and wrote that in like 15 minutes or something and could not stop laughing. And then the filming of it, I'm very happy with the way it turned out. And the timer thing was a last minute, the counter, that was a last minute idea of like, oh, wait, there should be something in the corner that goes ding, ding, every time you mention a drag queen.
It's such a witty sketch, and it's brutal. It is brutal.
Yeah. Y'all went in.
It's brutal. And I'm not going to say who, but I think, and I don't know because no one else has seen it yet, but I think there's only one queen who might not have that sense of humor, and everyone else will just laugh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it's definitely like old school, like, just
totally.
Yeah.
We make fun of the people we love.
I was going to say, I think they were all from love. All that hate was from
Yeah, no, yeah.
Totally. Look, I'm going to San Francisco tomorrow to do the Heclina memorial celebration. And Jackie wrote a song for us to sing that's a parody of Maria from Sound of Music. And it's just, if you look at it on paper, you're like, what is wrong with you? That you would do at her. I'm like, this is what she would want. And it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Love.
She would want.
Yeah, she would absolutely want that. I think on that note, we should take our last little break, Caitlin.
Yes.
We'll be right back with our usual wrap up.
Wig, okay. I know, wig. I feel that already. Wig, okay. Wig, did you just say wig? Wig, okay. I am ready for my wig to go flying.
And we're back.
We're back.
Woo!
For our usual.
Oh, Caitlin changed the question. She usually has.
I did. I changed. I mean, how am I going to ask that question?
I know.
We're talking to a legend. We're not asking you if you're going to be on Drag Race.
Well, you know what? I can answer that easily. If I was 20 years younger, or if they had a show 15, 20 years ago, I would have crawled through glass to get on it. And no, I couldn't go on. It's just so geared so young, and I love it. I watch it. I'm like, oh my God, remember being 22 and stupid. It's just, I love that. But if they did something like a Golden Girls season, then of course I'd go on.
I want that.
I've definitely talked about that with Jackie Beat. Actually, I feel like
We've all talked about that.
Yeah, I know. We all talk about it. I feel like RuPaul, there's only room for one.
But
You know?
Var, Coco, I think they would all do it.
Oh, I want to see it.
Yeah.
One
Definitely.
maybe.
So what is the best advice you could give about doing drag?
Well, I do think that the best advice is to do what you love and what you think you're good at. Like, it's okay to be influenced by somebody, but don't try to replicate them or copy them because it won't be successful. So find something that you're good at, that you love, and then exploit the fuck out of it.
Love that.
And by exploit, I like milk it, explore it, tear it apart, put it back together. Like, just go for it.
Yeah.
My turn. My
question. You're allowed to have a question.
Yes, I'm very excited. For this answer. Sherry, can you give us a tale from nightlife that's legendary? Something in the books that will go down in history. We need something juicy.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Crazy.
I'm sure you have plenty, but
it could have happened to you. It could have happened to someone you know. Any of it.
My mind, which one I can tell. I have so many with Joey, so many. And I have a really funny story with Justin Vivian Bond.
Oh.
This one. In the year 2000, me and Candace Kane and Shasta Cola, I don't remember her, from New York. She doesn't really perform in drag much anymore. She's in North Carolina. But anyway, me, Candace Kane, and Shasta Cola were flown to Tel Aviv to do a show and then to do a show in Jerusalem. And the show in Jerusalem was at 7 a.m. because it was like an after hours party. And it was just like, we're like, ugh, okay. Went to bed, got up at 4 a.m, got in full drag, boom, boom. We go to this party and it's thousands of people. And I met this guy that worked there and took him into the storage room. And I was wearing this gown. I couldn't like get on my knees. So I was like, stand on that ladder. So he's on the ladder. I'm just going to go for it. He's on the ladder. I'm sucking his dick. And there's a knock at the door and they're like, Sherry, it's showtime. I'm like, okay. I turn my head. I'll be right there. And he came in my eye. And I'm not kidding. We're being billed as like, big stars from New York City. And I have to go out in this gown and this massive wig with one eye glued shut and did my show. I know, it's right. Like, are you proud of that? Oh, it doesn't embarrass me. That's the truth.
That's psychotic.
Yeah.
Truly psychotic on so many levels. I would never do that now before the show.
Before the show.
Make
sure the work is done and then
then go to work again.
Then go to work.
For the show anymore. So now it's very, very different nightlife.
That's one for the books. Oh my gosh.
That's got to be a hell of a show.
Books. I have so many. You can't. Oh, it's just. It's
crazy. I can't even imagine.
I need a book. Absolutely.
Yeah, I want the book.
Yeah.
The memoirs.
One day.
One day.
That'll be season 3.
3. Oh my God. I literally. It was a different time because you had to go out to have a social life in the 90s. It wasn't online. There was no Grindr or whatever. So if you wanted to get laid or see a show or whatever, you had to leave the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. How times have changed. So you are doing an East Coast tour. What can you tell us about that?
Both eyes will be open. It's called Everybody's Girl. I mean, why beat around the bush? Just, let's get to it. I was trying to think of all these silly names. I'm like, the opening song is the song called Everybody's Girl from Steel Pierce. So I'm like, it's called Everybody's Girl. And it's all new. It's 10 new parodies, a couple songs that aren't parodies, but all new costume, new hair. It starts in Key West in June, and I'm doing a tour of the East Coast in June, and then in July I'm in P-Town for a week. I'm already booked for this show in Montreal, Iceland, like a bunch of places. So, like I said, you can check the website, and then in the fall I'll be doing it on the West Coast.
Oh,
Oh, beautiful.
nice. You're hitting up everywhere. Are you worried about like the drag bands going on?
Well, it's fun. I told someone else this story, but I won't say where because I don't want to throw them under the bus. But I am booked next month in a gay bar, 21 and over, and they called me this morning asking if they were very sweet. Like, we don't want to offend you, but can you tone your, yeah, tone your show down?
I hope you said no.
Yeah, I hope you said no.
Well, I couldn't say no. I feel bad because that's how scared they are.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
Like, it's gay owned. They're gay that I'm talking to. The drag queen that I'm talking to, she's like, I can't believe we're even suggesting this, but it's on high alert and we don't want to get closed down.
Hmm.
And it's just so horrifying. And I'm like, it's not even outside you know what I mean? It's inside and it's 21 and over and they're that scared. And so that is terrifying direction for this country.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No, I've toned it down a little bit, but I was like, well, I ain't got a half hour of material that's,
Yeah.
like, well, maybe a little. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm just going to kind of do my thing and hope for the best.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
That's
Lord.
so stressful.
Yeah.
But most places I'm going are like, fuck that. Do whatever
Mhm.
you
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what it should be. And then you're
like.
yeah.
The only way to get it is to get 200 queens to get on a plane and go to Tennessee or Texas or Florida or whatever and just like take over.
Yeah, burn it down.
Burn it down. Oh,
Throw
Lord.
a brick.
Love and songs about dick.
Oh, is that why it burns? Lord.
So you're also going to be doing a European tour. Our audience is different abroad than in the States.
Not so much now. When I first started going to Europe to perform, yes. And there were some places like, I remember the first time I performed in Italy, it was a huge disaster because they didn't speak English. And I'm doing,
Oh,
and they're just like looking at me like, what? Those aren't the words. So when I would go to Italy, I'd have to sing. I could only do original versions. I didn't do parodies. Now, everyone everywhere speaks English. And most places in Europe, certainly, they are really up on, our street slang, lingo, like cultural references. They get it all because they watch so much American TV. So pretty much I can go anywhere and do the show.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What countries are you going to with this tour?
I'm going to Iceland to do Pride and in August. And in September, I'm in Montreal and Malta for Euro Pride,
Oh, wow.
Berlin, and Vienna.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Yes. And I'm trying to book some other stuff, but that's solid.
I love that.
Yeah.
Our last question for the podcast.
It's not the penultimate, it's the ultimate.
I almost said penultimate. That's my bad. Where do you want to take your drag in the future?
It's funny because after 32 years, I still have a list the length of my arm of things that I want to do. And, some people are like, oh, don't you get tired? What are you going to retire? I'm like, I don't want to retire. I have so many things. I would love to do season 3, of course. I literally have enough ideas already to do an entire season 3. I would love to. Next year is a big milestone birthday for me. And I want to do a show like back to old school, like headdresses, feathers, boas, jewels, just like kind of the opposite of what I normally do, but like, kick it back old school, but with dancers and just like a big production show. I don't know if they can realistically do that anywhere outside of LA or New York, but that's my dream. I would love to do a stage version of The Three Sisters with men playing the sisters. So I have so many ideas of things that I would love to do. And let me just say, to answer that question, I have no plans of slowing down.
I feel like you've always been a workhorse. So
Yeah.
Workhorse. My roommate literally 2 hours ago was like, "It's gorgeous out. Come sit outside in the sun with me." I'm like, "No, I got work to do."
Oh Lordy.
You're the opposite of Martyr.
Yes. I love to be inside and not doing
Not working.
That's you and Jackie would get along great.
I'm sure.
Lunch. I'm like, no, I don't have lunch. She's like, girl, you work so hard. I'm like, no, I like it and it relaxes me. And if I even go to like sit out the pool or whatever, after an hour, I literally start spiraling of like, I got to do things. I should be doing things. I can't relax. And I know that in some people that doesn't sound healthy, but I'm very happy.
I mean, your body of work is so prolific, so I think it's worked out.
Thank you. Of course. Sherry, it's been a pleasure to have you on our podcast. Thank you for joining us.
No, it's my pleasure. I love that you guys kind of let me tell these rotted stories.
It's our favorite.
I want to remind everyone that the Sherry Vine Variety Show premieres June 8th at OutTV.
Thank you. And
you can continue.
I was going to say, can the kids find tour dates and everything on your website?
Yes, everything for the shows coming up, where I'm going to be, like I said, OutTV, the music, everything is on my website.
Beautiful. Thank you again for joining us.
You guys so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you.
Such a pleasure.
Everybody's 14th in New York at Red Eye.
Oh, beautiful. Love.
I really want to go.
Please come.
I will.
Oh, yes, I will.
New York misses you very much.
Yes.
I'll put it that way.
It's true. It's very true.
I'm in New York sometimes.
Well, I was Martyr.
I was C-Temper.
And this was Wigging Out. Happy Pride. Bye,
Happy
kids.
Pride.
Happy Pride.
I'm C. Tepper. You can follow me on Instagram at CTEPPER and read my book, The State of Drag, where I interviewed 175 drag queens from around the world. All proceeds go to charity on Amazon.com.
Ooh, I love that. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Drag the Martyr. And if you have any thoughts, comments, dick pics, send them to dragthemartyr@gmail.com.
Listen, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Pandora.
And catch up with past episodes on WERRRK.com. That's WERRRK.com. Artwork for Wigging Out was provided by Glitter Baby Online. That's Glitter Baby Online. Thank you.